Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's start out with some literary, and this is called Social Media and Its Place in Reporting. Ready? Here we go. And actually this is the middle of the article. We had started this one previously. Ready? Be smart and leave your smartphones out of your reporting assignment. 2. Speaking of social media, be careful to filter what you are posting on social media sites about your reporting assignments and about reporting in general. Let's face it, you don't know who your friends on Facebook are friends with. If you post something negative about your deposition that day or about the attorneys, that you really don't know who is going to see that. However, I can tell you that such activity has the potential to do serious damage to your reputation as a reporter and to the reputation of the firm for which you work. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, "Wow, I've had a stressful day reporting," ready to grab a bite with friends or relax, or "Wow, I really wrote incredible real time today. My practicing is paying off." But getting into specifics about the details of the case, the people involved in the case, how sad it was, how the attorney or attorneys performed, and so on is wildly inappropriate at best, and at worst you can have some very damaging effects to you, your client, and the reporting firm for whom you work. There are lots of great things about court reporting and other aspects of our profession to share on social media. It can be a great tool to educate the general public about what we really do as professionals, and also potentially a way to recruit great new talent into this profession who never would have known about reporting otherwise. However, I've seen random postings by reporters on Facebook and other social sites that were very negative about the profession and somewhat damaged the reputation of the profession in general. Thank goodness postings like that have been few and far between. I think it's important to remember that our words can be inspiring as well as harmful, even when not meant to be. Use your voice as an instrument to do positive things for this profession. It has given so much to all of us. Make sure what you're giving back is equally as positive. Let's try a little jury charge practice now. And the subject of this jury charge is cancer. Ready? Here we go. Much progress has been made in curing cancers of the respiratory system. Surgical techniques have been improved. Methods of aiming gamma rays so that they find their mark with the required strength have been refined. As a result, cures for cancer of the respiratory tract are on the increase. Lip cancer, provided it is treated soon enough, can be cured in all except highly unusual cases. Whether treatment is by surgery or radiation will depend on the individual case. Many lip operations are comparatively minor and leave little or no blemish. Developments in plastic surgery enable surgeons to restore normal contours even after the most radical operations. Cancer of the mouth is more difficult to treat than lip cancer, but it too can be cured provided it is discovered early and receives prompt, adequate treatment. Radium usually is employed on tumors of the mouth. In some cases, 2 or even all 3 methods are used. Cancer of the larynx is treated by surgery or X-ray. Early surgery cures most cancer in this location, and patients learn to talk again and resume their normal lives. Since 1933, surgical removal of the cancerous lung has been done with increasing success. Improved methods of surgical and radiation treatment are making it possible for many lung cancer patients to resume their work and normal pattern of living. In lung cancer, as in other forms of cancer, it is important that the cancer be found and treated early. Don't ever be misled by quacks who advertise that they can cure cancer with salves, medicine, injections, or some kind of secret machine. Don't pay any attention to testimonials by persons who say that they have been cured by such treatment. There are no such cures. Even if these treatments did you no other harm, the delay they might cause in your receiving proper and skilled attention would greatly lessen your chances of being cured of cancer. Science advances with extreme caution and makes no definite promises until the facts are all in hand and each step of the way has been tested. The facts about cancer are not all in hand. The true doctor will make no predictions about your case or any other without careful study, much less will be advertised a general remedy. Remember, the only cure for human cancer known to medical science today is early treatment by surgery or radiation. Above all, remember that is up to you and you alone to give the doctor a chance to cure you. Every adult should have a health examination every year. Half of all cancers occur in parts of the body which can be examined by your doctor in a routine checkup in his office. Remember, too, that one examination is not enough. You must visit your doctor regularly if you want continuing protection against cancer. There is no law of nature either that malignant growths cannot start between visits to your doctor. Don't be panicked by the thought of cancer, but treat the possibility that you may have it with all the seriousness it deserves. Remember, you have it in your own power to lessen the chance of your becoming a victim. Look for the warning signs. If you find any, go see a doctor at the earliest possible moment. Following this rule has saved many lives, and someday it may save yours. All right, now back to some literary. And this is a short article called Why Being Early is Being on Time. Ready? Having a 9 a.m. start time is typical in California. Los Angeles attorneys say they don't want to start before 10 a.m. because of traffic, but because of the federal and now California 7-hour rule, unless everyone wants to be working past 6 p.m., the deposition has to start so the clock can start ticking. Los Angeles and Bay Area traffic is legendary, and San Diego's is not far behind when traveling south in the morning. Witnesses show up at depositions late with the excuse of traffic and not knowing where to park. Attorneys are oftentimes stuck in a hearing and are running late. Does the court reporter or videographer have the luxury of being late because of traffic or parking issues? I would postulate that a service provider can never be late. It might not seem fair, but that is the way it is. The responsibility of a court reporter and legal videographer is not only to be on time, but to be 30 minutes to 1 hour early. The legal videographers I work with consistently arrive an hour early and start their setup. Unless there is a mistake in scheduling, I rarely have come across a late arriving videographer. Court reporters have less gear and need less time to set up, and I believe push the time envelope. Secretaries, paralegals, and attorneys start checking for the court reporter's arrival, and if there is no one there at 8:45 a.m. for a 9 a.m. start, they begin panicking, calling the court reporting firm they hired. There are a few calls the staff of a court reporting office hates. More than, didn't we book a reporter? Is someone coming? Should we call another firm to make sure we have someone here on time? The clients panic, and then the court reporting firm panics. It is a terrible way to start the day. I know when I do get to a job early, 45 minutes or so, I love the feeling of getting set up, having my title pages done, and having time for a cup of coffee. I am relaxed. Everyone is relaxed. Sometimes if I am working at a doctor's office and I am not allowed to set up, I will sit in the reception area, turn on my computer, and work on the title pages. I walk into the conference room with my computer on and at least the title page is done. I am sorry to say attorneys don't ever want to hear excuses about being late. If there is a catastrophic accident or a person gets sick, fine. Being late should happen maybe once every 12 years. My advice, if you're going to be late, call your firm and let them know. They can call the client and give them the assurance the court reporter will be there. Keep in mind, relaxed court reporters are happy court reporters. let's try a little more jury charge practice. The subject of this jury charge is econometric models. Econometric models. Ready? Here we go. The purpose of these remarks is to explore the potential usefulness of econometric models as guides to public policy. The discussion will be divided into two sections. The first part will be devoted to a very brief description of what an econometric model is and how it works. The second part will be devoted to an examination of the shortcomings of the method. The science of economics can be variously defined, but for our present purpose, it is useful to think of it as the study of the relationships among a system of essentially measurable quantities such as prices, savings, employment, and so on. These relationships derive from the complex behavior and interaction of millions of households, thousands of business firms, and hundreds of governmental units. From the standpoint of the individual, family, or firm, behavior may appear volatile and unpredictable. However, taking averages over time and over larger numbers results in more stable relationships. In this light, we can think of the economic system as, in principle, represented by a system of simultaneous mathematical equations. Unfortunately, however, a theoretically complete representation would involve millions of equations. Moreover, each equation would be exceedingly complex and involve numerous variables. We have neither the time nor the resources to deal with such a vast system. To proceed at all, we must simplify. We will finish this one up another time. Now let's get back to some literary material. And the subject of this literary is, before you ask a court reporting student, why does school take so long? And I think this was written by, let's see here if it tells us. Oh, okay. This is written by a student. Ready? Here we go. Before you ask a court reporting student why does school take so long, consider the following. When people keep asking me why school takes so long, I like to show them my steno machine. I turn my display on to English so that what I write comes out in English. I'll write their names in a simple sentence, then I'll hand them my machine and ask them to write their own names themselves. They stare at the unmarked keys. They try to make sense of them, not having the year and then some that it took to learn theory. They can't do it. They can't spell their own names. Then I take my machine back, change the display to only show steno, and write something like, the cow jumped over the moon. I ask them to read that simple sentence. It's in steno. They can't. I tell them that the next time they ask me why my schooling is taking so long, they had better be able to at least write their names and read a simple sentence in steno. It tends to quiet them down a bit. Wait, there's more. But here's some food for thought. Maybe more people would have a deeper understanding if they knew the following information. The average length of time for steno school is somewhere between 3 and 5 years. Many factors go into this. Someone who is going to school full-time and doesn't have a job, family, or any other responsibilities to cut into practice time will probably be on the shorter end or even spend less time in school. There are exceptions to every rule, of course. On the other side of the coin, someone who has a job, a family, and other obligations probably won't have many hours to sit and build that necessary muscle memory in 3 years or less. The theory is a factor too. Some theories are faster and or easier to learn than other theories. Some theories take longer to learn because they are conflict-free, and you'll hopefully spend less time in the translation phase. Online and brick-and-mortar programs tend to have different paces. How high the standards are for passing tests can have an impact. It may take longer to reach a standard of 98% as opposed to 95%. The self-motivated individual who has a very strong grasp of the English language and how to punctuate it, as well as a very strong vocabulary and a knack for learning new languages, physical dexterity of the fingers with the ability to do different things with each hand at the same time, good hearing, and adequate ability to stay focused will do better than someone without these abilities. The individuals with these inherent skills will have an edge over the rest of us mere mortals. Supportive environment. It takes a lot out of a human being to take tests every single day and fail, yet that's the nature of the beast in court reporting school. You take speed tests every day, and until you are actually at the speed that you're testing at, you're going to fail them all. This doesn't affect your GPA, but it can affect your self-esteem. You have to learn to take each failure and turn it into a positive. Not everyone has this ability either. Get back to our jury charge on econometric models. Ready? Here we go. We must treat the millions of households of the nations as if they constituted a single entity. We must combine millions of individual incomes into one great national income, and millions of separate prices must become one price index. Moreover, the complex responses of human beings must be simplified so they can be represented by one or two simple equation forms, usually by linear approximations. When we have thus reduced the millions of equations and variables to a handful of approximate relationships, we can refer to the historical data of the economy and by appropriate statistical methods obtain expressions in numerical form. Excuse me. I apologize. I think I'll read that again. Ready? Here we go. We must treat the millions of households of the nation as if they constituted a single entity. We must combine millions of individual incomes into one great national income, and millions of separate prices must become one price index. Moreover, the complex responses of human beings must be simplified so they can be represented by one or two simple equation forms, usually by linear approximations. When we have thus reduced the millions of equations and variables to a handful of approximate relationships, we can refer to the historical data of the economy and by appropriate statistical methods obtain expressions in numerical form. It is clear that while an econometric model gives some promise of success, its use is limited. There are many sources of error involved in its construction. In addition to the simplifications already mentioned, we face a good many difficulties. We do not know, for example, exactly how fast families adapt their living standards and expenditure patterns to changed conditions. We do not know all the factors which influence business investment decisions. The greatest need in economic research today is not the study of relationships among global quantities. What is required is the study of the details of daily economic life by the careful observation of families and firms. No econometric model is sufficiently accurate or reliable to serve as a sole guide to policy, even on a fairly short-run basis. The compounding that can occur when we turn our attention to the long-run projection of the economy raises the most serious questions about the truthfulness of the method in this context. Nevertheless, at the present stage of development, the econometric model is a useful adjunct to other methods of analysis and forecasting. If it is nothing else, it is at least the most sophisticated method we now have at our disposal for disentangling the implications of actual economic events and of keeping our speculations consistent. That will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.